Hello and welcome back to the Celebrity Almanac channel. Today we're going to do a movie review, and it's going to be on the depiction that you see on the screen there. It's called Open Water. And my wife and I totally enjoyed this movie. We've actually watched it 2 times, and it's suspenseful from the beginning to the end. And again, it's called Open Water. I'll give you a little background information on it. The actress in the movie is Blanche Ryan, and the actor is Daniel Travis. And Daniel plays the character Daniel Kinter, and Blanche plays the character Susan Watkins. So the two of them are not married. At the beginning of the movie, I didn't pay real close attention, and so I did think they were married, but they were not married. They apparently were just boyfriend and girlfriend. Anyway, the storyline goes, and this is a true story. This actually happened. And so if you go scuba diving with a group of people, make sure that you get back to the boat and that you're accounted for. Because this is what happened. They were on vacation. They signed up for a scuba diving excursion, and they went out on a boat with a number of other couples. Again, not knowing what their relationships were, just boyfriend, girlfriend, or whether they were married. But they were out there with other couples. And I would say probably there was about 12 couples or 24 people. And so the instructions were go ahead and go down and dive and look around. Try to stay together and don't go off too far. And there was a specific time they were told to come back so they could get back on board the boat and head back to shore. Well, in the beginning, Daniel is sort of making decisions for Blanche, or Susan, her name in the movie, Susan Watkins. So they go down, and of course, Daniel motions to her to come his way. So he wants to get away from the group, which was the first no-no that they were told not to do. And he wants to go explore and look around and so forth and so on, and she follows him. Then she points at her watch at some point in time, indicating that thumbs up, is time to, head back up to the boat. And he wants to just look a little bit more and gives her a hand motion to stay with him. So to make a long story short, when they get back up to the surface, the boat has already departed. And what happened was that when the people got on the boat, they did a head count instead of a roll call. And one of the couple, after they were counted, looked like they moved from their position back towards the back of the boat or the front of the boat, but they moved from their position, and it looked like they were counted twice. So from the counting of heads, it looked like they had all 24 people on board. So they took off. Anyway, this couple comes back to the surface, Daniel and Susan, and the boat's gone. So one bad decision already took place. They left the group, and they stayed longer than they should have. And Daniel was the one that made that bad decision happen. But then as they're trying to maintain floating above the water and not getting their heads below the water, trying to figure out what to do, Susan sees a boat off in the distance. And she thinks they should swim toward the boat. And Daniel thinks it's a bad idea. They'll exhaust themselves, and the boat probably won't be there if they do make it to the boat. So again, his decision prevails. They don't swim towards the boat. So I'm not going to give you all the details in the movie, But here you are, you're in the middle of the ocean. You don't know what's going to happen next. And of course, during this process, in this movie, apparently the time that they were in the water was between 24 hours and 36 hours. So that's quite a long time to try to survive. And of course, sharks are the enemy. And that's one of the suspenseful things that takes place, is them trying to avoid sharks. Now, here's an interesting thing. During the sequence when they were in the water, there was one episode that I could totally identify with, and that was that as Susan became exasperated with being stranded in the ocean, she lashes out at Daniel. She can't hold it back anymore. She hollers at him, you had to stay longer in the water, and we missed the boat. And then when we saw the boat in the distance, a boat in the distance, you said we shouldn't swim toward it. Now here we are, stranded, and you made those decisions. And I could identify with that when your spouse or you make decisions that are not good ones, and the other person kind of bites their tongue and doesn't say anything about it at that time. Eventually frustration will bubble up. And that's what happened there. So, but the other thing I'll tell you about the movie is that Susan becomes the strong one. Daniel does get bitten by a shark, and Susan has to take care of him. And there's always some frightening thing going on with sharks. So basically, that's the movie, and I'll get you a little bit towards the end. Daniel does expire, and she has to regretfully let go of him. She can't save herself and him too. But at the end of the movie, she almost gets up on shore, up on a small island, but she slips back in, and the shark gets her. So both of them are completely taken out by sharks. And here's the thing I wanted to mention. All along, I thought that the movie was based on a true story, which it was, but there weren't any survivors of the two. So some clever writer filled in all of the details that may or may not have happened, and probably didn't. So the two of them either expired within the 24 to 36 hours, or they could have expired sooner. But nonetheless, you kind of know the gist of the movie. I highly recommend you watch Open Water because it is suspenseful, and both of the actors do a wonderful job. So that's my movie review of Open Water. I highly recommend it. I give it 5 thumbs up. And speaking of thumbs up, I hope you'll give a thumbs up to this movie review, and make sure you subscribe. I thank you very much.